Bom dia. Vocês podem me ouvir? Segunda pergunta. Se eu falo português, vocês podem me entender. Na verdade, eu queria agradecer e-commerce Brasil por falando em português, mas eu não posso falar bem o suficiente, então eu vou me apresentar em português e depois eu preciso continuar em inglês. Me chamo Benjamin, eu venho da Inglaterra, mas eu moro e trabalho na Austrália. Eu morava lá durante 5 anos e trabalhava para a Eleva Drink School para 5 anos também. Eu trabalho sobre transformação digital. E hoje eu vou falar sobre o mídia online para offline e a atribuição para a mídia online para offline. So, what I will go through today is the ambition for the Endeavour Drinks Group and how we engage with our customers in the years to come or in the future, how we're using media attribution to bring the online and offline worlds together, and some of the kind of the mistakes and the learnings we had on going on this journey. I'll also go into how one of our other projects, which is called Customer 360 or Single Customer View, how we're going to be using that to change how we engage with our customers at multiple different touch points. And kind of a theme throughout will be around how digital transformation for us is just as much around people transformation as it is around the technologies and the processes that we use. So just a bit about Woolworths. Woolworths is Australia's largest retailer, about $40 billion US dollars revenue. Most of that is in supermarkets, but in Australia you can't sell alcohol in the same place as the supermarket. So therefore we have separate companies and separate stores for selling alcohol. So I work for the drinks group part of Woolworths. It's about $6 to $7 billion revenue. We have 6 different companies within that. 2 of them are the main size. They're about $3 billion each, and the others are more specialist. Some of them have e-commerce and stores. Some of them have just direct-to-consumer, or they're a very, very niche product like get your alcohol in 30 minutes because you really need a drink now. Most of the topic that I'm talking about will involve BWS and Dan Murphy's. BWS and Dan Murphy's are the same size. One's 1,300 stores, 8,000 employees, small format, some drive-through, and 95% of the population is within 5 kilometers of a BWS store. Their branding is around convenience and local, and their e-commerce focuses on fast delivery in less than 1 hour. Dan Murphy's is a much, much bigger store, so they're more like a kind of Walmart size of a store. We have 230, about 6,000 employees, more like a warehouse, and their branding is different to BWS. It's more around range, discovery, experience, and the e-commerce focuses on lowest prices and larger orders. These companies used to compete with each other, and we were growing for a very long time by doing that. But now we've come together as a group, and we have a group-involved vision which is hoping to bring the different businesses all together. So the language has been has been considered a lot to connect everyone with a drinks experience they will love. Connect refers to the digital world, refers to connecting people, refers to putting people together, refers to the social aspect. Everyone means that we hope to serve every Australian drinker with the drinks choice that they want that's right for them in that moment. Experience means we don't just think about selling the product to the customer. We're also talking about how we can make the experience when they shop with us and interact with us personal, inspiring, individualized. And then we're using the future tense on they will love because this involves some of the projects around prediction and understanding what the customers will want to drink before they know what they want to drink. You could summarize this as we say internally, we want to be the Netflix of drinks. So we want to understand the customers better than they understand their own tastes, and then help them on their drinks journey. So all of the projects, all of the technology investment that we have is all focused on achieving this vision of becoming the Netflix of drinks. To start on that journey, there were some things that we needed to do. There were a lot of things that we needed to do. We were a very old business. We had a lot of data in different places, 6 companies, all working separate teams. Even within those companies, the online and the offline team was separated. So before we could really start on what we've called the foundation layer, we had to do some pre-foundation work. We had to change some of the way that different parts of the company was thinking. And we had to join together the online and the offline world so that they were working towards the same goals. And we also needed to change some of the ways of thinking around what digital was, what e-commerce was. So we were looking for a project that we could use that could act like a hero project that not only could demonstrate how trying new things, investing in new technology could drive benefit for the business, but could also bring different silos of the business, bring them together so they could help them work together better. We chose media attribution because it was high value. The marketing and media budget is a significant part of our costs. It's also very visual. A lot of people have opinions on marketing. A lot of people have opinions on where we should be spending our money. And it would affect a few different teams. We wanted to go from looking at e-commerce and in-store sales separately to having more of the business understand how e-commerce is just a choice on how you buy and a part of the customer journey. We wanted to join together the teams from online and offline media, from above line, below the line, even join the marketing teams between the businesses so that we looked at media channels in terms of audience, purpose, and the stage of the customer journey. We also currently, or before we started, we had different types of measurement. We would measure digital channels in one way. We would measure above the line media in another way. So we needed to have all the channels working together, understand how they interact with consistent measurement. Also, something that we're still struggling with, decisions were made by gut, by people's experience, or what we call the HIPPO, which is the highest paid person's opinion. We needed to move the company towards decisions using data combining with business experience, and then also have those data skills democratized across all the layers of the business. And then the final thing that we were looking to change was that we were quite insular. We often, in Australia, we were the biggest, we were the leading in the market. We didn't think we needed to look outside. We didn't think we needed to change because we were already still growing, already still winning. So one of the goals was to partner outside of our industry and country to achieve our customer and business goals. So I'll jump straight into media attribution. We did partner with a company. We partnered with a company in the US that could help us with this because we didn't have the capability internally. We look at all of the things that we can control or we own, such as our media spend, what we're doing online, what we're doing on TV, how we're doing our pricing, what messages we're using, how many stores we have, how many stores we plan to open. And then combine that with external factors such as holidays, seasons, what's going on in the macro economy, what our competitors are doing, what weather is doing, what the brand awareness is of a brand, of one of the retail brands. And then the model takes all of these inputs into account, such as the traditional media, when the radio spot is aired, when the TV spot is aired, when the out-of-home media is put up, because a lot of our out-of-home is on rotation digitally. Looks at our pricing, etc., combines all of those inputs, looks at when they occur, and then runs statistical models over all of it to understand, okay, how much of the media spend is based on your media, how much is because of weather, how much is just because of the time of year, how much is because of the price changes that we're doing, how much of the sales that we're getting is because of what competitors are doing, and it separates out all of those, so we start to look at all of our media and our sales completely holistically. So the timeline for that, and I'll start for when we started to get results. We got the first set of results in October. We spent some time socializing these results. There was a lot of disruption in the business when we did that. And then we had our first kind of like pitfall. The results were controversial. People didn't like them. And a lot of other people wanted the data to be absolutely perfect before they would believe it. So then we moved on. We had some successful first tests, some wider adoption. We had another pitfall, and now we are where we are now. So some of the things that people found controversial was that media is actually only responsible for about 10 to 15% of our short-term sales. I don't know if you can see the slides, but they've got different industries and how much media can contribute to the total sales in those industries. But for us, for our industry, about 10 to 15%, which was a bit difficult or uncomfortable to believe for some of the marketing teams who spend a lot of money and work very hard. And that's because so much of the short-term sales were coming from things like weather, things like pricing, things that were out of the team's control. And the reason this was important for us to be able to separate is it was impossible for us to test and learn if we're getting false positives and false negatives around the campaign because the weather changed and therefore that had a bigger impact on our sales. So, for example, we did show back to the teams that in between Q1 and Q2, there was an 18% change in sales. Nearly a quarter of that was just because the weather changed. We also learned that there was probably an opportunity to get 30% increase from that 15%, 30% increase in sales from media just by changing where we spent the money. Press, which we spent a lot of money in, we were spending 7 million, we could reduce to 700,000, and we would get the same result for that channel. We also learned things like radio and search go very well together. There's opportunity to coordinate those two investments, the work of those two teams to drive even higher results. We also learned things like, okay, this region, radio is better at this time of day, or where people might be listening to the radio. However, what this meant was there was a group of people that didn't believe the results, and there was another group of people who wanted everything to be absolutely perfect. We knew this was going to be the case going into the project. So the key to the success of this was not just giving people the tool, but also changing the way they think and the way they work. So we worked on some change management at the same time. As we started this project, we informed teams that we were getting a new platform that was going to help us measure online to offline. In parallel, we looked at how do we change the team structures so that the teams start working together, start talking together more. We also worked on some training on how to work with incomplete data. There are a lot of people in the business who've been working in the industry for 20 years, 30 years, and they've always used their gut. Now that there's data available, they were using 100% of their gut before, now they want data to tell them 100% of everything. So we worked on some training programs to get people more comfortable with taking some incomplete data, because it doesn't tell you everything, and combining that with what you know, and then getting to a better result. An example of that is if we only followed the tool, we would get much higher short-term sales, but in the long term, we're going to damage our brand awareness. So it's how do we adjust the tool by taking into account what we know or what we think will be good for our brand awareness or good for our brand messages. So to get over this pitfall, and the resistance was very strong at first, we recommended a test and learn approach to begin with. We took a strong campaign that was important for the business. We decided on a budget cut for the campaign, and then we monitored the results of this campaign, which didn't last too long, to then see what the budget cut, but a different spread of media would do for the campaign. And there was a massive result with the first test. So we reduced the media budget for the campaign by 25%. We allocated the media differently, so we took out press, we took out some other channels, we increased social, we increased search. And then we actually saw an increase in sales on what the projected sales were. So at this point, everyone's celebrating. The teams are now getting ready to use the tool. People are understanding how offline and online is actually the same thing. It's just a different way to shop. And then finance got involved. At this point, finance saw, okay, you saved us some money. Okay, well, can't we just then bank the money? Why do you need to spend more money if you can get the same without the money, with a lower amount of money? So at this point is where we also worked separately and in parallel. Again, this was something we predicted, to influence finance and strategy, who then helped us to influence the CEO and the heads of business and educate them around looking at marketing as an investment, not a cost. Educate them around how you can spend more to get more if you look at it in the right way. Educate them around different types of marketing and messaging for different types of goals. So the process of this, not only did it help the media attribution as a project in itself, the process also helped different parts of the business understand different departments better. And this was really important as a stepping stone in our journey, because one of the necessities for our digital transformation is to have less silos and more departments and interdepartmental cooperation. So working on now, next steps, again, they're both people-focused. We will go more granular to attribute by category, such as media performance by wine, sales performance by beer, and take that back to the media. And we'll grow more granular to look at messaging and what the effects of messaging are. Then 6 to 12 months' time, we will combine it with our Customer 360 project, and then we will try to optimize right down at the individual customer level. Which brings us on to the next topic of single customer view and Customer 360. These two will talk to the parts of the vision that involve the everyone part and the predictive part, and knowing our customers better. This was actually the project we wanted to start with, but the use case wasn't strong enough for each individual department or silo that it would help. So we needed something that we could use and would have its own use case within that particular department. So the biggest opportunity for us was always to be able to make our customer data usable. We had data all over the place. We are 82% of drinkers shop with us. So our goal is always to be doing a share of wallet. We have 82% of the drinkers, but only 50% of the market share. Also, the single customer view project would help power other projects within the business that we were working towards to achieve the vision of becoming the Netflix of drinks. The problem for us was the expectations of the customers to understand them was growing and growing and growing. Customer journeys were becoming more complex, and data volumes were increasing and increasing. We use the analogy of data was like trying to get water, and I just want a glass of water. But when I try to get the information, or I try to get the water, I'm presented with a fire truck and a fire hose, and then they completely soak me head to toe. What I always wanted to do was fill up my water. So the data volumes were one of the drivers for us looking at this project. Customer 360 for us is trying to know the customer better than they know themselves, understanding their behaviors, their purchase history, their experience measures, what they like and what they dislike, what their attitudes and interests are, and understanding that across all of our businesses. Right now, our businesses compete with each other, and therefore, if they're selling them beer in one company, they might try to sell them beer in the other company, whereas the other company could be selling them wine if they had more of the information. The key problem for us was around identity. We had 6 companies, multiple different silos of data in each company. We have a bit of information in Facebook around what they like. We have a bit of information in one of our brands around what they shop in that brand. We have a bit of information around where their delivery address is. But all of that is in different places, and we didn't have a good way of getting the data through. So The effect of this is that in an email channel, you've got partial information. In a social media channel, you may only have a tiny bit of information, but there's teams contacting those customers based on only that information that we had. The other thing that we found out when we partnered with a company to help us with our data was we actually had less customers than we thought because the data was inaccurate. There was what we thought was a customer in this brand, what we thought was a customer in this brand were actually the same customer. So we about 20 to 30% less customers than we actually thought we had. And this was apparently quite common. There's a large apparel retailer in the US who used the same program for their customer data. They had to report back to Wall Street a change in numbers because they found it was so inaccurate because of how their data was structured. So the goals of this is to take us from broad segmentation, like, okay, you're poor, you're medium, you're rich, okay? The beer team will target the poor people with one, the medium with another, and the rich with another. That's kind of how some of the segmentation works. And using the rich information that we have to create more meaningful and actionable segment groups, such as, okay, we have a large group of high-value customers here. They're worth about 10% of our sales, and half of them are likely to change to another company within the next 3 months. And then using that as a target group and then having a team that with its own strategy to go after that group. Or you are a beer drinker with a high possibility to go to a more expensive brand, and that group is actually really large. So we're going to have dedicated teams or dedicated campaigns to go after that group. Or you're drinking a famous brand, and we have our own brand, which we can make more money on, and it's actually a better product, so we'll match this group with that product. So the way that it works, it takes all of the information, like email data, clickstream data, loyalty data, e-commerce data. The company that we partner with is called Amperity. They stitch all that data together to give us single customer views, and then we apply analytics over the top to understand what the new clusters or what the most profitable clusters would be to change how we engage with them. And a different way that you can see how this affects the entire company is that below, we have the goal that we want to help each customer experience the right product and service in the right way. So we use these profiles, combine them with enriched product information so we can match customers with products, overlay some advanced analytics tools on the top, and then some recommendation engines, and they then start to feed all the other parts of the business that has customer interactions. So they could be feeding the people in store who could be talking to customers on a device, or who could be looking at their history from their loyalty card. They could be feeding contact centers so that they can talk to customers easier. The way that looks like from a team point of view is that the email team can now send offers on Irish whiskies because they know that you are browsing those whiskies on another of our company's websites. Or the store team can now understand and help them find their favorite red wine because they have all the information in the wrong place, and it's not separate to the other information in the company. Or the contact center team knows, as soon as that customer calls, they know that they reviewed something, only 2 stars on the website, so they recommend them a different product because they know that customer found that product too bitter. None of these options would have been possible for us if we didn't do the customer data problem first, because whilst we thought we were optimizing in channels before, we actually were only optimizing within the limited information that was in those channels. So one of the things I mentioned was around influencing earlier on. The reason that we had to do the media attribution project first was because the use cases for the customer project were so complex and so far-reaching that there was no single use case that was best to do the business case to get the funding for. But as examples, it will improve conversion in Facebook, just not for the total cost of the platform. It'll improve direct mail. It'll actually reduce our costs because we actually know we have less customers than we thought. We were sending out about $300,000 worth of direct mail to addresses that we just didn't have customers at anymore. it will reduce our marketing costs, it will fuel our media attribution, and in store, there'll be more chances for the actual person talking to the individual to give them the same personalization recommendations that they're able to get online, but in an in-store environment. And thank you, and questions?